So the Buddha made lots of suggestions to help us get out of suffering. Many different kinds of teaching. Some teachers characterize it as many different kinds of medicine. I recently read a Buddhist teacher said, well, only a quack would prescribe the same medicine to every patient. And he was able to see and listen so deeply. And in the course of that, we got sutras because what he was saying was so helpful. And one of his early teachings is called the Two Truths teaching. One truth is always changing, but true. So it's a conditioned truth, constantly changing, but true. Then the other truth is the absolute truth. This is unchanging truth and unconditioned. And every moment, these two truths completely interpenetrate. So each moment contains components that are in a constant state of change and components unchanging. So the unchanging part is unborn. So that part cannot die. And that's really hard for us to comprehend. Don't try. Don't try. It's much better to just stay with incomprehensibility. That's our entry into several things. It's our entry into non-attachment. And it's our entry into seeing clearly. And the human mind dislikes ambiguity. So we're cultivating getting comfortable with ambiguity, with not knowing. When we're able to do that, we can let go or put down all of the ideas and thinking and feeling and story that's constantly being created by our conditioned experience. And it's not that our conditioned experience is false. It's true, but it's in a constant state of change. And its conditions appear when our bodies appear, and then those conditions disappear when our bodies disappear. And the world we're living in is illusory. And the Buddha tries to help us out with the Diamond Sutra, telling us this is an illusory world. And the way he saw into this was simply by meditating. He simply sat with a great question, with great doubt, and looked at his direct experience, the very same thing we all did. And when we all do that, we are Buddhas. Because Buddha's great awakening is that we all have this. All beings already have this quality. He saw so deeply into the unchanging component of being a human being. And when we're rooted in that, it is unconditional love. It is unconditional wisdom. It is compassion, and it's what we call the bodhisattva way, the awake person's way of being in the world. So then the function of our conditions becomes clear to each of us in a unique way. One way of saying it is we become a complete human being. Everything on the planet knows its job. A tree knows its job, a dog, a cat, Everything on the planet knows its job except a human being. Human beings, number one bad animal on the planet. Not correct. And Buddha saw into this because we create suffering. We create suffering first for ourselves, and then we create it for other people. And we don't see a way out. Now, wisdom is everywhere. It's in the trees, it's in the forest, it's in the sky, in the ocean. It's in all other religious traditions. Because this impulse is in human beings to get out of suffering. And they've come up with a variety of ways of doing it. If it works, great. And those ways were conditioned by the times, by the populations, by the traumas, by the technology, by the greed, the avarice, thousands and thousands and thousands of years. This particular way is free of an institution. This particular way is entirely ours already. You already have everything inside of you that you need to be entirely content. But we don't trust that. We don't trust it because of our conditions. We don't trust it because of our wounds. We don't trust it because we haven't healed from those wounds. We don't trust it because we've been traumatized. So those are all real things, but they're conditions, so they change. So the practice gives us a way, and the teachings give us a way. Zen practice often emphasizes not dependent on words, even though I'm using so many right now. So don't attach to the speech of the teacher. Listen, if it's helpful, use it. If it's not clear or not helpful, let it go. And Buddha encouraged us to stay skeptical of his teaching. Don't accept my teaching or follow it because everybody else is, or because it seems like a good idea. Try it on. Try it. We are rooted in our experience at all times. And that's how we take ownership of the practice. And in Zen, we don't care what you believe. We don't care what you think. You can practice Zen meditation and it doesn't matter what you think or believe. Out of the practice, this unborn wisdom that cannot die spontaneously appears, helps you with your suffering, helps you with the suffering of your family, your friends, your workers, your neighborhood, your city, your country. But if we have a storm going on inside here, we cannot help anybody else. If I don't have some peace, wisdom in here, I can't create a space for someone else to benefit by peace or wisdom. I can go on a peace demonstration, and there can be so many unpeaceful, angry people in a peace demonstration. Not so much peace is actually being created in the world. Maybe some value in the demonstration, but how much peace and wisdom are the activists embodying? So this is a really critical point. Now, some of you may have heard this story. Back in 1969, 1970, I was 17, 18 years old. I had a girlfriend named Sharon, but I had not come out. But I kind of thought maybe, but I couldn't think about my orientation. I had no language for it. And I was in art school. And this is in Richmond, Virginia, 1970, Virginia Commonwealth University. And I'm with my friend Joan, middle of the day, walking in Richmond, near the campus. We come around the corner of a building. There are two tall black drag queens coming towards us. And I lock up. Everything shuts down, and I can't stop staring at them. I have no control over what I'm doing, yeah? And Joan sees them, and immediately the taller of the two queens says, "What are you looking at, white boy?" And I'm just mute, completely mute, terrified, aroused, distracted, lost all sense, right? And Joan, thank God, says, "What do you think I'm looking at? You did not put that wig on, that hat, that Coco Chanel skirt, and think you weren't going to be looked at when you came out on the street." And I'm thinking, thank God Joan is here. And then the queen goes, "Oh, white girl, I like you. Tell it, tell it, tell it. Thank you, girl." So they keep going. Yeah. And Joan and I keep walking. And now I'll unpack my interior experience. Have you ever seen a pinball machine? Okay. So first, ignorance about my impulses, then shame, then, oh, my girlfriend Sharon, oh, these guys are really hot, oh, they're hot as women and they're hot as men, oh, I can't possibly be feeling any of these things, this is all taboo. Does Joan know I'm gay? Can she tell I'm feeling these things? Can they read me? How? Because they could clearly see me, and I could clearly see them. So this is called ignorance, desire, aversion, anger. All of these things are teachings from the Buddha, and these are all originating from my attachment to feeling, my attachments to my sensations. Now, from a practicing point of view, from Buddhist teachings view, none of this is wrong. All of it's completely true. It's a conditioned truth appearing in the world. It's real. And it has a function. But we don't get to function until we see it and attain it. This is also not unique to a gay person, a trans person, a straight person. It's universal for all human beings to have an experience and then have an activity of mind that interferes, yeah? So the Diamond Sutra points out to us, in every perception, there is some deception. In every perception, there is some deception. So the Buddha's reminding us, don't trust everything you see. And sometimes our perception reveals more about the perceiver than the thing being perceived. And if we don't know that, we are controlled by the ignorance. So from a practicing view, we're always paying attention to the bodily experience with a kind of curiosity, because that creates safety. That creates self-trust. And in that space, we can see, oh, this feeling has appeared. Oh, this idea has appeared. That's the beginning of insight. Now, if there is some trauma that's appearing, some unhealed experience, now we can see it. Prior to that, if we cannot see it, we cannot attain it. And until it's inflamed, we cannot learn from it. So even though we may have this great aversion, like I was experiencing at the age of 18 when I had no practice to support me, these things were inflamed because of my condition. Came around the street corner, boom, 2 drag queens. No way out. Joan handling the social situation for me, but forced in a way to see these things inflamed. Thich Nhat Hanh gives us a beautiful metaphor for karma. Imagine a box of matches, imagine the match, then the strike, now the flame. Three things have to be there for the karma to inflame. Now, karma is our condition. The earliest point I made about a conditioned truth, karma is our conditioned truth. Sometimes it's karma like nation karma, country karma, city karma. Sometimes it's personal karma, family karma, work karma. All of those things are karma, everything. All phenomenal experience would fall into that category. However, the three things have to be present: the dormant, the action, and the other match, the other thing that causes the friction. But that's when we can see it. So had I not turned the corner, I wouldn't have had that moment of being forced to look at components in my personality and in my body that I didn't want to look at. And all of us have some version of that, because all of us go from not understanding ourselves to growing, changing, growing, changing, growing, changing, and hopefully understanding ourselves a little more. The function of the practice is to completely understand ourselves and to even attain the parts of ourselves that are unknowable, that are ambiguous, because those are the parts that were not born, cannot die. And those are the parts we use, this unknowable part, because it arises out of the situation we're in. That's when we're going to get to see it. So in our practice, we talk about first seeing into our substance, our true nature. And that can happen on a half-hour meditation period. It can happen in a one-day meditation retreat. It can happen in a 2-week retreat, a 90-day retreat. Any kind of time it can happen. It can happen when we're sailing a boat. It can happen when we're taking a walk after dinner. We have no idea when we may see into a true nature of being a human being. And we say substance, but that's language. We might call it God, or Buddha nature, or universal consciousness, or we might be a physicist and give it some scientific name, but those are all names. So immediately, that cognitive activity of naming separates us from the experience. So say you're just walking and the sun hits the tree leaves and you see a shadow and you have no sense of separation. No sense of separation. And you have a sense of relief and peace. And then your cognitive activity notices, oh, this might have been what Tim was talking about. Now it's gone, because the cognition has taken up the space. But trust it, because seeing into our true nature is also impermanent. In other words, we have to see into it over and over and over. We use this expression, waking up. We don't do it once. We do it 10,000 times a day. And it isn't a fail-succeed. It's not a fail-succeed activity. We're already awake. You are already Buddha. Could you hear that? Can you see this? So, then the test question is, that sound, my hand, and your mind, are they the same or different? It's a trick question. But it puts us right at this point. We all hear it. And we're returning to that. In that moment, in that split second, all of the conditioned and all of the unconditioned completely interpenetrate. And then we work with it. Moments later, it changes, and we work with that. A moment later, it changes again, and we work with that. So we call it a do-it mind. So we see into our substance. The result of that is truth world. Everything we see is true. Everything we hear is true. Everything we touch is true. Feel and think. So then our thinking becomes true. Prior to seeing into this, our thinking is illusory or delusion if we're attached to it. We see into substance, even for just a moment, then our thinking becomes true. Then correct function is possible. If we see somebody who's hungry, we give them food. Someone's thirsty, we give them water. This is our intention or our vow to wake up and only help. Also, that's directed towards ourselves. So any turbulence, any kind of suffering inside, welcome, welcome, welcome it in. It's your teacher, it's your friend. And your own wisdom, when applied, when we do it, will heal your own trauma, will have insight into the particulars, and it teaches us our substance. The conditioned parts of our experience that are changing, and the parts of our experience that are not changing. When the Buddha looked closely at his process, he saw that our mind makes a sign. And Thich Nhat Hanh uses this example when he's talking about the Diamond Sutra. He says, imagine a rose. Say I had a rose here. When we first look at a rose, we're just seeing the appearance of the rose. If we look deeply into the rose, we realize, oh, it's made out of soil. It's made out of air. It's made out of water. It's made out of the care that the gardener took as the bush grew. It's made out of the nursery where the rose bush was purchased. It's made out of the weather that has caused this bush to grow well. This is a very complicated thinking process, but it's us looking deeply into the conditions of the rose. When we see that the rose is also the sky, water, the earth, that's really seeing the rose. That's a true rose. So the dialectic in the heart in the Diamond Sutra is a rose is not a rose. Thus, we have a true rose. A bodhisattva, an awake person, is not an awake person. Thus, we have an awake person. We see a person, we've made a sign in our imagination. It's a cognitive activity all human beings do. We have to see that we've done that and let it go. Then we see the actual person. And if we've done that work, we can help ourselves and the other person. Diamond Sutra, it's called that because it's like a diamond sword that cuts our attachment to all of the signs we're constantly making. And don't think of this in terms of sin. I really encourage you not to. Because the activity of mind is necessary. In other words, we go to buy flowers for arrangement at home, we're buying a bouquet of roses. There is a functional need for all of this sign activity that's going on in our consciousness. It's just not the truth. But it's a necessary functional activity. So we're not saying the first view of the rose is bad, the second view of the rose is insight, the third view of the rose is good. Don't get trapped in the opposites thinking and opposites feeling. Buddha's trying to encourage us to just look deeply and then realize the activity of mind making the idea of a rose instead of actually seeing the rose as it is. And sometimes in your experience, you're going to notice that, especially if you've had some time meditating. You might come out of a Sunday Dharma practice and things look different. Then you notice they look different, and then they go back to not looking so different. And that's okay. We can't not be conscious of self, but we can cut our attachment to the consciousness of self. And then we have a more direct experience. And that becomes a habit. So there's the habit of consciousness of self, and then there's the habit of letting all that go. How is it right now? So from a Zen point of view, and this is only one approach, there's multiple approaches that work, we just keep it in the form of a question. How is it right now? And this is a very portable way. We can be on the phone listening to a family member, and we can also have this question, how is this right now? And we can also be listening. Strengthening that question. We can be driving. How is it right now? We get cut off. Some big anger appears. You just jeopardized my life by jumping in front of my car, right? So that anger appears. How is this right now? That's a moment we have to attach to the anger, create a story about the driver, and assassinate them. Not correct. But if it appears, I can't pretend it didn't appear. But I go, oh, not correct him. That's a Buddha driving that car, just not paying attention. Maybe you weren't paying attention. Who knows? Don't know. Just drive 100%. So, yeah, maybe some anger appears. How long do I hold it? How long does the anger control me? So, signs are used to entertain us. The joke is on us, which is why I keep encouraging people to be patient, and be kind. We're wired to trust illusion. And most of our creative expressions are rooted in illusion. And just for distinction, just to be clear here, the Buddha's telling us we have an illusory world. It becomes delusion when we attach to it. It's illusory, and we won't suffer, boom, until we attach to it. So then this teaching cuts our attachment. We return to just being illusory. Oh, this is illusory, so how do I work with it? The fact that it's illusory is not going to go away. That's the nature of being organized in light and dark, hot and cold, good and bad, right and left, political regimes, all of that. It's the world we're in. It's illusory. As long as we don't attach to it, we don't suffer. And for me, it works backwards. I find myself suffering. What's happening? Then I see, oh, I have just attached. So that's okay. That's skillful. Then let go. But we can't let go till we see what we've attached to. And that's our practice. Okay? Does tracking make sense? Yes. It's very simple. It's hard to learn to trust it. And also we have to be very honest with ourselves. I hope my story kind of illuminates that. Because a lot of that suffering was because I wasn't honest with my own direct experience of my body and my life for all kinds of stupid reasons. But those were the conditions constantly changing. So drag queens and also the media and entertainment use illusion all the time, and we love it. And if it's something like drag queens, it seems a little lowbrow, it's like vaudeville or, it's kind of robust and raunchy and stupid, yeah. I can't think of the other art form.
Burlesque.
Burlesque, thank you. So, illusion is entertaining us, but also Shakespeare, also To Kill a Mockingbird. Those forms are illusory. To Kill a Mockingbird is a fictional story, but it points to a truth about the human condition which will transform us. Before we read that book and after we read that book, we are two different people. Sometimes Shakespeare, sometimes well done, you see this whole illusion. It's all illusory, but it wakes us up. So we don't have to worry about illusion being bad. In fact, welcome it in. Just don't attach. Even our religious structures are illusory. Now, if the intention is good, they're there to help us wake up, or they're there to help us find peace, they're there to help us find wisdom. If they aren't causing that, then look deeply at what's happening. Because your own truth meter will show you that there's a misunderstanding or a misfire like that. If you're participating in some activity that is starting to cause suffering rather than take away suffering. So I did bring a little slideshow just to kind of underscore these points. This is a little funny. And I don't have a very big screen, so and you can move closer if you want to get a better view. This is the best I can do, bear with me. So, drag queens in movies show us our attachment. And we can watch our internal process. So this is RuPaul out of drag. I know the people online now have an advantage because they can really see it quite well. And he's very famous, very rich. And here he is in drag, something quite glamorous and photographed very beautifully. Here he is out of drag again. Also, these are all signs. Sign of a man, sign of a suit, sign of wealth. And then drag queens take all of these signs. Femininity, sexuality, bombastic, in drag. So here's a clip from The Mandalorian, shot on what's called the volume. And these actors are on these floating motorcycles, and we see a whole planet there in the distance, right? And then the writer and the director are walking on the set. And the volume is still there, the images are all still there, but the illusion's been broken because they're not in costume. So the coherence, that universe that was built, has been cracked. But our minds make a universe all the time. That's a quote from the Avatamsaka Sutra. World is made by mind alone. We see a movie like this, our minds make that whole world. Yeah? So it's on the volume. There's maybe 5 real actors in this shot. It's a big rocket space station, like a modern train station, sci-fi, right? That's what's actually there. 10 or 12 people and 2 pieces of furniture. But we think it's an entire train station, and instantly we make that whole world. And then that illusion can be cut. The Rockettes. Who doesn't love the Rockettes? Nude illusion. Are they dressed? Are they undressed? Can I imagine them undressed? And they're all exactly the same woman. Why is that appealing? It's a mystery to me, but they're very popular and very famous. But again, just an illusion. It takes an enormous amount of art to get that. Bob the drag queen, way out of drag, not even shaved. partly still out of drag, but here he is for his podcast. And here he is completely in drag with a falcon in his hand in a ball. I'm sure there's some reason. Then here we have this amazing Kuan Yin, carved in 6th century China, life-size. This is in the Kansas Museum. An extraordinary statue. This is compassion in drag. This is art inspiring people. Medieval China was a horrible place to live. Very few people were wealthy, but they could go into a temple and see Kuan Yin in the royal ease. That's the description of this position where she's just relaxing. Kuan Yin, Quan Sum Bosal, all the same person. That's you and I. We are Quan Sum Bosal. And this artist characterized this compassion this way to inspire people. Another one from 6th century China, compassion in drag. There was an artist at the Broad, Jeffrey Gibson, a gay artist. I can't remember all the famous things about him, but the title of his show was The Place in Which to Place Me. So he's expressing himself in these kind of extraordinary ways. He's African American. Next slide. There we go. Oh, so this is Kim Chi and Nina Smalls. Kim Chi's a Korean American from Chicago, drag queen. And Nina Smalls, I don't remember where she's from. And here's Kim Chi transformed as practically a Quan Sum Bosal. A sexy Quan Sum Bosal, I guess. And here's Nina Smalls transformed, something quite elegant and beautiful. Here's Kim Chi, kind of graphically changing everything. And here's Kim Chi and Nina Smalls in drag, yours truly at DragCon in 2016, and my husband Bernie in Superman drag. Sort of. We were having a blast. So RuPaul has a couple of expressions that he uses in his show. We're all born naked, the rest is drag. He also says at the end of every show, if you can't love yourself, how the hell are you going to love someone else? Can I get an amen up in here? Of course, all the queens, amen, amen. So I watched the show for a couple of years, and then at some point, I think it's Thich Nhat Hanh, I'm reading a translation of the Metta Sutra, Sutta, right? Also called the Discourse on Loving Kindness. In the Pali Canon, the Buddha famously notes that if one searches the entire universe, they will find no one more deserving of love than themselves. That's a kind of shocking teaching point when we hear it as contemporary people. Metta systematically begins with the self before expanding outwards to others. The object of our practice should first of all be ourselves. We have to understand this thing. Our love for the other, our ability to love another person depends on the ability to love yourself. That's a translation into contemporary English, and this drag queen's ending his show every night with it. Who knew, right? I was inspired. So self-love is not selfish or egotistical, it is structural. The foundation must be peace. If we carry internal warfare, anger, or deep unaddressed suffering, remember my story of being 18, right? You will inadvertently spill that tension into everything else. So if we're not clear, we can't be clear. Understanding is love. True love requires maitri, the capacity to bring joy, and karuna, the capacity to ease suffering. So we can look for that. Have we brought joy? Have we eased suffering? That's an easy way for ourselves. For ourselves. So you can use it almost as a barometer. You could be going and having a great day, and then some suffering appears. Rather than push that suffering away, rather than start analyzing it, welcome it in. What is this? How is this? Why is this is not always so helpful. But what is this very valuable question? How is this? That's a valuable question. Without pushing it away, without the agenda for it to go away. Because if it's some very old trauma that maybe's been caused to appear, that's been inflamed by the box, the match, and the action, if it's been inflamed, you want to be kind to it. Because then it becomes your teacher, much better than somebody in a boa and a gray robe. As a teacher, yeah? We cannot successfully offer these energies to another person if we do not first know how to offer them to our own body, our own mind. So, what about the Buddha's teaching of not self? Our true nature and phenomenal experience completely interpenetrate. Remember that point. So don't check, oh, what about not self and identity? And isn't all this, yeah, don't worry about that. It's not either or. It's a case of both and. So we're extending kindness to both. The ambiguity of our true nature, we have to be kind about that. Otherwise, it's not going to be able to give us this energy to love ourselves. And the details of our conditioned nature extend kindness to that, and then it teaches us. It becomes our teacher. All thinking is desire, but when we keep a don't know, we cut our attachment to thinking. We let it go. Then our thinking is the truth, and correct function is possible. Don't even attach to the speech. Yeah. Put it all down, let it go. Then our don't know minds become clear. Any situation is reflected action, and we can finish the great work of life and death. Thanks for your practice. And my friend Vicky Burnt has a picture of Bob's big boy attains enlightenment. Thank you all for your attention. I hope you enjoyed the talk. I hope it helped. It's a privilege.
Hi, I'm Robert Lurie with Long Beach Meditation. Your gracious generosity makes this programming possible. If you found this video to be of value, please consider making a donation here. And if you'd like to watch more videos like this one, click here. And if you want to stay up to date with Long Beach Meditation, click here to subscribe. Thank you.